Winter had come to an end. The snow had melted and spring was proving to be an exciting time. But Julie was stuck inside her classroom wishing she was outside. Why do I have to be in school when there are baby rabbits frolicking in the fields outside? She would wonder. She thought her teacher did not understand how she felt. Julie just knew one of the baby rabbits playing in the fields beyond the school would be named Binky. This rabbit would be by far the most optimistic of all the rabbits and determined to make the most out of her life, the way Julie hoped to do as well. Binky was optimistic despite being told she only had 9 summers and 9 winters to live on Earth if she was lucky. But why, Binky would ask all the time. Her parents would say, because that is nature, that is how things have come to be. Binky would always be exasperated by this. But why can't we live longer, like the owls that hunt us or the deer that graze in the woodlands? Binky's parents would explain, because their bodies are different from ours, and they live differently from us. But why? Binky would ask. Her parents would stop trying to explain and say, just make the most of your life and stay positive. Julie just knew that Binky, being the most optimistic rabbit, would not like having limits put on her, but Binky soon got over her general annoyance when she noticed what life had to offer. She looked at all the beautiful flowers around her and looked up at the sky to daydream. One day she would be all grown up and she had lots of dreams about what she wanted to accomplish. I can't wait, Binky said out loud. The first year of her life passed quickly. Summer followed spring and Binky saw the farmers cut down the crops they had grown and the fields became empty. Autumn followed and Binky noticed the foliage of the trees and shrubs fall and a chill descend as frost covered the ground. Then winter came upon them and snowflakes caked everything. But winter did not last long and soon it was spring again. Binky wanted to leap higher than the other rabbits. She wanted to be the rabbit that dug the deepest holes, and she wanted to be the greatest and wisest explorer and discover new things. Most importantly, she wanted to outlive 9 summers and winters on Earth. Binky soon discovered that though her dreams were lofty and grand and made her excited, she could not leap higher than all the other rabbits, and she was not the best digger or the cleverest rabbit. She became quite overwhelmed and thought, I can't fail at these things or else I will have wasted my time on Earth, and what would have been the point of my life? Julie wanted to comfort Binky because Julie was discovering the same thing in her own life. Julie had always wanted to be a writer, but her dreams seemed dashed when she realized people didn't like her stories. Julie imagined how the optimistic rabbit would cope if its life did not turn out as it hoped. Binky was now in a dark place. Julie could only hope that Binky stayed safe. The dark wood was near Binky. In amongst the pine trees, Binky heard growling and whining from a distressed animal. It was a fox who was mad, quite mad from a disease in fact, in pain and close to death. It was gripped in a fit of trembling, and its face was a mixture of fear and acute alertness. It could smell Binky. "Don't run away, little rabbit, keep me company." Julie thought, "Run away, Binky," but Binky didn't run away because she felt sorry for the fox. Binky came a bit closer so that the sick fox could see her. The fox grimaced and said, "Can you let my family know that I died with dignity? They wanted to help me get better, but I just got angry and frightened them away. Now I am lost because I can't tell where I am anymore. My name is Carl." Binky wanted to help Carl, but out of the corner of her eye she saw some men with guns approaching, and she instinctively hid herself. But the fox started to growl, and the men took aim with their rifles and fired. They quickly bundled the dead fox in a canvas bag and left. It all happened so fast that Binky was caught up trying to process what had just happened. The final words of the fox were fresh in her mind and made her feel very sad. When Binky returned to her warren and told everyone about the fox named Carl and his request, they advised Binky not to do what he had asked of her because she would get in trouble. It's not safe to try and find the fox's family just so Carl's last wish is granted. Foxes kill rabbits like us, they told Binky. But Binky decided that this was her real purpose in life and thought it was more important to carry out the fox's wishes than to spend any more time trying to achieve her dreams, which seemed to her quite trivial now. Julie could just imagine Binky entering the forest with high hopes of finding Carl's family, but it wasn't that easy. Soon Binky came across a very ugly-looking dog with half of its fur missing. The dog was chained to a tree. When it saw Binky, it asked her, "Have you seen my owner? He tied me up here and told me to stay. I've been waiting a long time for him to return. I love him with all my heart, but now I worry that I have disappointed him somehow because he is taking so long to come back to me." Binky couldn't help the dog escape, but tried her best to reassure him. "I'll keep an eye out for your owner," Binky promised the dog. He was very grateful to her for saying this. Binky kept going and eventually arrived at a clearing where she saw two young boys playing with matches and lighting small fires. Once they got the fires burning, they quickly put them out again. They were laughing and joking about how cool it was to do bad things that they had been warned against doing. "Let's leave it to burn a bit longer and see how much bigger we can make the fire before we put it out again," the boys said to each other. Binky was not noticed by the boys and carried on. Soon afterwards, Binky spied two teenagers kissing under a tree. "That's so nice. I hope that happens to me one day. I want someone to care for me too," thought Binky. But before Binky could daydream any longer about such things, the romantic moment ended abruptly when a young man interrupted the couple and started to yell at the girl. "Daisy, how could you cheat on me with my best friend?" the man cried. The two teenage boys then got into an argument and started to come to blows with each other in front of Daisy, who could do nothing but cry for them to stop. Binky scampered away and was disturbed. People do such bad things, she thought. The woods seemed incredibly dark now. She remembered the abandoned dog and was angry at the person responsible for leaving it in the forest to die. I don't want to be cruel and mean like those people, Binky said to herself. Julie had also seen people behaving badly in her life. She knew it was wrong and wondered how they could manage to be so mean. She and her mother were sitting among the trees of the dark wood near an abandoned graveyard. It was overgrown with weeds, but it was their favorite place for when they needed answers. Binky was near them, listening intently to all that they said. Julie asked her mother, "Why are there so many poor people in the world? They don't tell us the real reason at school. And why do animals kill each other? I don't see why they can't all eat grass like sheep do." Her mother said, "Because the world is no longer perfect. It used to be in the beginning, but then the first humans, Adam and Eve, made a huge mistake when they disobeyed God. That's why we see so many things wrong in this world." Binky hopped closer so that Julie and her mother noticed her. "That's Binky," said Julie to her mother. "How can you be so sure it's Binky?" asked her mother, who had heard lots of stories about Binky. "Because she is optimistic even when things are troubling. Look how she is so eager to be near us even though she is frightened," said Julie. Her mother smiled and nodded. Binky did not know they were talking about her and that Julie thought she was a special rabbit, but Binky could tell that these two people were not dangerous, so she relaxed a little. Just then a fox leapt at Binky and carried her away. Julie saw it happen and was shocked. "Binky," she started to cry in horror. Her mother hugged her. Julie then noticed that there was smoke in the air. "The forest is burning," she said with alarm. Her mother quickly got up and the two of them fled. That night the fire burnt up half the forest. Julie lay crying all night long in her bedroom. Things were deadly quiet, but in the early hours of the morning, when the fire had been put out, Julie once again heard the soft pitter-patter of rabbit feet and just knew that Binky was safe. She picked up her journal and wrote down what had happened to Binky. The fox who had seized Binky had not killed her at all, but had carried her out of harm's way from the encroaching fire. It knew that Binky had only entered the dangerous forest for the sake of Carl, who she was trying to help. But Binky wanted to know how the fox had known about Carl and her quest to help him. The fox replied, "God told me to save you, because he sees and knows everything. You're a brave rabbit, and all of us foxes will remember what you chose to do for Carl's sake." Julie put her journal away and just knew that things would be okay for her too. Every spring from then on, Julie would try her best to spot Binky among the other young rabbits. Binky was always there, as fresh-faced and eager about life as ever before. She never grew any older, according to Julie, and outlived all the other rabbits. As for the old tired dog that had been chained to the tree, well, he was found by a hiker and nursed back to health. He never saw his original owner again, but had someone new to love. The two boys who had started the fire were punished by their parents, and Daisy left town because she didn't want to be with either of the boys in the end. And Julie eventually grew up to become a teacher. She taught children to see the good things in life and to stay positive even in bad times. Every now and then she would see a child in her classroom that reminded her of herself, and she would tell that child about Binky, the brave and optimistic rabbit that knew what really mattered in life. It's not about what you achieve in life, but who you end up helping that will save you one day.